Welcome back to Exploring with Oroi. We're sailing around the cosmos of Heaven's Vault with Oroi as our companion. We're not going by the direct route. We're going on a side route because I think there might be some cool stuff to find. But this is a good opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the things about this game that are just a little bit wobbly, that I think we could learn how to make better, especially if we're doing different kinds of games. For example, in this game, we're headed right back to the Withering Palace. Now, we've already discovered that the Withering Palace makes people into robots. It's not really a mystery, but that's just the player. All of the characters in the game have not been allowed to discover that. So, to them, they don't know what's going on. It's only the player that knows what's going on. We're going back to the Withering Palace right now with ourselves, our robots, and our buddy Oroi in tow. And the robot was thanking us for it. I don't think you heard that because I think it was between episodes, but the robot said thanks for going back here. And I think that's worth talking about a little bit. According to the story so far, the robot just happens to know, or just happens to think that we're going there for his sake. Because he remembered weird things and felt weird when he was there, so we called upon the best roboticist we know, and we're taking her back there, and we're going to investigate it together, and so he thanked us for, being concerned about his well-being and his strange experiences. Now, from my perspective, the robot doesn't enter into this at all. He's basically a non-entity because the various pieces of his story haven't been being told. I know that he could be something interesting because he has the ability to...
Oroi had never left the surface of Elbereth before. I could see she was trying to look brave, but she was not letting go of the ropes.
Plus, I'm steering like a drunkard. So I know that he can do things like suddenly become Renba, and that sort of stuff, and he remembers a whole bunch of weird things, but it hasn't really entered into the story proper. It's just been a couple of very, very minor incidents that were never followed up on. So we don't have any sort of strong connection to this robot, either in terms of the robot having an interesting story, or in terms of the robot having an interesting personality, or friends. We're not friends or anything. It's just kind of a nothing character that follows us along and occasionally pesters us to leave moons before we're ready to. Because of that, it's very hard for me at least, to feel like this is a favor to the robot, because I don't care enough about the robot to do it any favors. But this is something I'm interested in as an archaeologist, and Oroi is interested in it. And I'm interested in our friendship with Oroi. I'd like to, get our old relationship back on steady feet, and not this wobbly thing where she keeps talking down to us, even though we deserve to be talked down to. So I am interested in everything about this besides the robot, and that's a really good sort of way to make these things happen. If there are a bunch of stakes, if there are a variety of things that make you curious, then at least one of them is going to actually connect. This is especially important when the things you're revealing are mostly non-emotional. Like, they might be cool, but they're not tied to someone's emotional state. We're not revealing that Oroi murdered a king or something. We're revealing how a statue is crafted or whatever. And those aren't inherently emotional beats. So having emotional beats attached to them via other characters and other concerns is really important. And it doesn't have to be, X person is really curious about X thing. It can be that you and X person are having a friendly flight together, and it happens to involve that thing. It doesn't have to be a direct connection. And the reason that's important is because you can write those heuristically. You can write those generatively. We could have our adventure with Oroi any place where there was something that Oroi could interact with. We could take her to the Withering Palace, sure, but we could have taken her to any of these locations where she would have an opinion on some of the mechanical contrivances in the area. And at any of those, we would be able to have this Oroi loyalty mission, as you'd like to put it. And that is something that not only plays up the importance of that mission, but also allows us to advance the Oroi context. It's a double win. especially if we are running low on reasons for the player to be interested in that context. If the player isn't interested in the context, then you have to make them interested in the context, and one way to do that is to just have them have a friend. Okay, so it looks like there's no turns until there's a left. So from here on out, we'll just take lefts. And one of the ways to do that is just to have them have a friend, and if your friend is curious, then you're curious. Whoop. I think that we'll just keep this one going. Sometimes when I have these conversations, I make them their own little episode, but that really wasn't very long. It was only 5 minutes of me mumbling, so we will just keep it up. Go on to the next mission, the next plot point. The conversation. Well, while the conversation's running, I'll get myself some water. Apparently, we didn't even find anything. Cheapskates. Camera is not behaving. There we are. I don't think that I missed our turnoff. I just think that it's quite a route. I really love these dusty hills that we've got going, these mountains of fog. I would like to play a more... did I say lefts? Oh man, that was supposed to be a right. I screwed that up. Now we're just wasting time. I would love to play a more sailing-focused game that had visuals like that, with the giant cloud banks and, hugely obscured surfaces, because I think that that would be a fun thing to explore. Plus, there are a lot of things you can do on a ship. You don't have to just kind of cross the rivers. You can even do combat from ships. Or you could use like a spyglass and try and locate things from a ship. There's lots of cool things you can do from ships, and that's another kind of gameplay that I think I'd really enjoy. I know I'd really enjoy it because I've done it a lot, but it's something where you don't really get that kind of play very much. Usually when you're playing a game about ships, you don't even get to sail. You only get to sail when you're in a fight. Otherwise, you're like just clicking on a map, and it's not really inherently interesting, you know? Of course, as a spaceship person, that's even worse when you're in a spaceship, because spaceships have nothing. They they don't even have water. They just kind of float endlessly on the inky depths of space. There it is, the Withering Palace. I think we established that. It's to turn people into robots. I hate to spoil the big reveal here. It's nice of them to program in all of the go-round things. Oh, this is great. This is the sort of experience that really helps you to connect to the NPCs. These are the kinds of conversations that make a lot more power than the ones we normally do, where people actually are curious and wandering around and talking to us and, you know, investigating the world. A big part of this is a big part of this kind of conversation is to link us to the world. And NPCs are a really great way to do that. They can care about things that the player doesn't and explain why the player should care. They have exactly one eye because you only need one eye to teleport people around. Ah, we're back. Home again, jiggity jig. Here is where we discovered the deep, dark secret of this place. Shall we see whether or not Oroi is brave enough to go downstairs with us? Well, let's see whether or not we can show her the eye first, and then we'll go downstairs with her. Oh, we want to talk to the statue for some reason? Well, that's fine. I can't see what we're doing. So she's telling us that this hopper had some surgery done to it. Oroi is definitely my favorite character in this game, including the main character. Oh, you think so? We're trying to drive Oroi to this discovery as aggressively as possible so that the people in the game can know what the player has known for, you know, a dozen hours. We're supposed to leave her to it, so I guess that's what we'll do. Oh, so the buried god from the mine was, in fact, this god, not a separate god. Cute. What are you talking about, Oroi? Oh, yeah. The thing I tried to take you to first. Yep, it's very interesting. Should we try and go downstairs? I don't think there's anything down there that we can get. Yeah. Without Oroi helping us. It's a murder gun. Why don't we not stand directly in front of it? What, you mean on the pit? I am thick, because I've discovered this dozens of hours ago. can read back the entire history of a black hole by the surface. I'm not going to bother to investigate the idea of when things are, whether it's shaving or entangling or what. I'm fine with that.
I don't exactly know what Oroi did, but the effect on the robot was impressive.
Hey, anime head robot. What's up? Seems like we got the head researcher. How helpful. If you remember, this is exactly what happened with Renba. He just kind of popped out of the robot. But he didn't have a head. I wouldn't mind having this lady along with us instead of the personality-less robot we had before. Oh, so she burned them all. There's the 7. Yeah, the waiting god. Ooh. We can't betray you because we were never really on your side. Nothing down there now, my butt. There are still a whole bunch of things down there. Whatever was crawling around in the darkness is still crawling around down there. You should have gone down and visited it. I could try and go down there now, but I don't want to risk any sort of silliness with this plot, right? Wait, okay. For some reason, there's only ever 2 teleport beams, regardless of how many people are moving. And now, that's 20 more minutes gone. We discussed some stuff and resurrected a dead Empress. Nice progress. See, if the game flowed like this, with people coming into place like this, it would be much more inherently interesting to me. And it could just be that my lack of actually visiting people was the major problem, but I doubt it. I will see you in the next episode.